It's Afro Space, and we're finding ourselves at the Villa Moringa Guest House in Windhoek, Namibia. Now, for our first discussion, we'll be talking youth empowerment, all right? Now, we're joined by a lovely lady who goes by the name of Mandy Shemuvalula, right?
Yes.
She's, of course, the CEO and the founder of YOUTHIA. Mandy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be here.
It's good to be here. Mandy, I just want to find out in a nutshell, who is Mandy Shemuvalula?
Mandy is an African youth
Yeah.
who's a revolutionary at heart. I'm very passionate about Pan-African issues.
Definitely.
And I also believe in revolutionizing the world
Yeah.
and making the world better. And I think one of my favorite words in the dictionary is disruption, is
Yeah.
how do we reimagine the world for social and lasting change.
Now, for you to get to this point in life, I mean, what was the influences, when you were growing up, before you actually got into you becoming the entrepreneur that you are right now, focusing on the youth and so forth? There must be some sort of an event that happened in your life that you realize it needs to be implemented in the youth.
I'm going to be very honest with you. I think that it's just inborn.
Yeah.
I think that from as young as I can remember, I was always a little bit of a rebel.
Yeah.
I always wanted to challenge the status quo. I never wanted to follow the rules. But obviously, I believe God put me through different experiences that shaped who I am. But before YOUTHIA, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about later on, I actually was one of 9 who was selected for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, which is 2014, which is a President Obama's flagship program for kind of economic emancipation across Africa. And so when I went to the US, we were 500 in total across Africa.
Wow.
But only 100 of us were chosen to do an internship.
So it must be massive. You actually made it in there.
It was amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing. They had 50,000 applications, and they could only choose 500. So my 8-week internship was at the world headquarters of Coca-Cola in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And part of my 8-week internship was to go to India for 5 days.
Yeah.
So we went to 5 cities. We went to Jaipur, Ahmedabad, Dasna, New Delhi. We went to Bangalore.
Wow.
And so we went as part of a social media experiment.
Yeah.
So we took 8 American mom bloggers to India to expose them firsthand to the women empowerment programs that Coke is sponsoring on the ground. And what I noticed during those 5 days was a mindset shift in terms of how business should actually be grown.
Yeah.
And the good thing was that India has very similar context to a lot of African
A lot of
countries.
countries,
So what
definitely,
works there could probably work here as well.
Yeah.
And so when I went back to Atlanta, I was literally sitting on my bed and I said, God, why did you expose me to this?
Yeah.
And the building blocks of YOUTHIA just started from
And
there.
that's where it all started.
That's where it all
And let's get
started.
into YOUTHIA right now.
Yes.
Tell me about your work in, the youth entrepreneurship. Tell me more about that one.
Well, as I mentioned, so YOUTHIA was obviously, I think the breeding ground for YOUTHIA was I think the India internship.
Yeah.
But I think that what YOUTHIA is really about, I think on a macroeconomic level, it's about structural transformation. So we focus on building foundations
Yeah.
that all else aggregates on.
Yeah.
For instance, one way that we're mobilizing and uniting youth entrepreneurs and just youth in general across Africa is we created a currency and we called it the Afro.
Yeah.
And we pegged it to the United States dollar. And so we said, okay, how do we begin to prepare the environment for youth entrepreneurs and youth in general to do business with each other across borders?
Definitely.
And the Afro is one way we've been able to do that.
Definitely. I also just want to find out why actually the focus on youth entrepreneurship. You could have been focusing on a whole lot of things.
Yes.
But specifically that one.
And that's funny because I'm a woman,
Yeah.
but I don't really have a strong passion for women issues. And I know that sounds funny, but I
Yeah.
have a passion for youth issues.
Definitely.
Youth entrepreneurship makes sense. Firstly, youth because they're the largest population segment in Africa. We're
Definitely.
living on the youngest continent in
Yeah.
the world.
Quite true.
And statistically, Africa is getting younger every year. Entrepreneurship, because it's been declared as a new development model for Africa.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship is so powerful because it's the only mechanism that creates opportunity where none seemingly exists.
Definitely.
So it just makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense. Now I just want to find out how do you actually mobilize and unite, the youth, across Namibia and the rest of Africa?
Well, the Afro is one way that I've just mentioned that we do, is how do we create an environment where Namibian youth entrepreneurs, Nigerian youth entrepreneurs can do business with each other.
Definitely.
And Afro kind of creates that common economic thinking among them.
Yeah.
Another way that we're kind of mobilizing and working with youth is we've launched a platform called Nudge. And what Nudge does, it allows youth entrepreneurs to pioneer 24 customer service and delivery in the consumer goods industry. So if you want a dress at 3 a.m., you go on Nudge and a youth entrepreneur will deliver.
Definitely.
Yes.
I also want to find out, will there be any, way in the future plans for you to connect the African and the Namibian to the rest of the world?
100%. 100%. I mean, the focus is obviously first continental and then we go global. 100%.
100%. Now, not the last question, because I want to know more out of you indeed. I just want to find out actually, what are the different challenges that youth entrepreneurs face, and how is YOUTHIA actually stepping in and helping them solve all these issues?
I think that a lot of studies have been done in terms of the bigger barriers to business growth. You talk about lack of capital, access to markets, no valuable mentorship available. And I think those are legitimate concerns. But I honestly feel, especially with youth, they have very unique needs. And we have found that that's actually not their biggest barrier. The biggest barriers for youth entrepreneurs is actually they don't have the correct mindset and the correct character.
Definitely.
Once you have those sorted out, the other problems kind of disappear.
How do you get into shifting a mindset, especially in Namibia? Because, the problem that I perhaps see this in most of the schools, the foundations that are being laid in Namibia, for you to think that, I can actually change something. I am able to actually bring something into our life. How are you going to go forth with that to change mindset in Namibia? Because it's not only the Bunda people. We're talking about the villages and
the
constituencies and so forth.
Yes.
How do you bring their minds in for shifting from what they're used to seeing into what they are right now?
I think, we've developed the YOUTHIA model, and the YOUTHIA model comprises of 4 core tenets that we believe are going to disrupt the level playing field in Africa. We're talking about collaborate, progressive, transfer of ownership, as well as pioneer to youth entrepreneurs. In terms of changing the mindset, what I have found is most effective is focusing on youth entrepreneurs that already get it. And then they become the early adopters to the YOUTHIA model. And once that happens, they just organically influence their local communities. Because the reality is that YOUTHIA cannot be in local communities. We can't be there permanently. But we believe in empowering youth entrepreneurs to become access points to those local communities. So if we build and develop their capacity of youth entrepreneurs that already get it, they can then influence their community, because they
cycle.
Exactly. They'd say, oh my gosh, John from my community who I grew up with is doing amazing things. They will listen to John more than they'll listen to me, because they can't relate to me. So that's one way that, and youth are so cool because they love trends and
I can see the way you're talking.
I do.
Highly passionate about it.
I am.
But last final question, me as a youth sitting down somewhere, I'm like, I really want to be part of that. How do I contact you?
Well, you can be part of the YOUTHIA revolution by visiting us on www.youthia.co. And you can sign up and register on the website and be part of the community.
Definitely put up the contact issue on the screen right now.
Yes.
Highly motivated right now. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
Always
for having
a pleasure.
Me. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Now after the break, we'll definitely be sitting down with Aaron, who will have a short discussion with someone. Do stay tuned for that one.
Afro